Hello all. This is just a quick video to talk about the Valve announcements yesterday for the Steam Machine, the Steam controller, and the VR headset, the name of which I cannot remember right now. But yeah, I was going to do this video yesterday, but I decided to wait because it was a lot to absorb. It came out of left field. I mean, we've been hearing rumors and speculation about a new Steam controller, maybe a new computer type device, but I never expected for it to be announced in such a way in 2025. I figured we would hear something about it in 2026, somewhere abouts, but it was a pleasant surprise and it was a lot to absorb because the timing couldn't be worse for Microsoft. The very thing that Microsoft was mentioning about what they wanted the next version of the Xbox to be is exactly what Valve showed yesterday with the Steam Machine. I mean, well, without the console bits in it. I mean, it functions like a console, but it's definitely a PC. It's just that because Steam OS is better for gaming than Windows, where it matters most, this is a bad look for Microsoft, for Xbox. Valve would be the last company I think that they would want to build a device like this, mainly because digital distribution is pretty much a standard and has been in gaming for a long time. But when it comes to digital storefronts, nobody beats Steam. Steam is literally the biggest digital distributor of gaming entertainment on earth. Nobody is bigger than Steam. And because of the success that they've had with the Steam Deck, for them to make a portable not a portable PC, but a desktop PC using the same philosophy as the Steam Deck, it really does put a lot of pressure on Microsoft. It really does. And it's interesting because it's like, if you go to various websites, if you go to various places that cover gaming news and, the industry in general, read the comments. When you go through the comments, you read the comments, you will see very passionate, very vocal gamers that will say why they did or did not buy a particular game or particular device. It's not hard to decode. It's not like it's some mystery that the engineers, the marketing, and the CEOs have to kind of like figure out. People are very specific about what they want and what they don't. Now, mind you, to be fair, that vocal group is not the total representation of gamers as a whole, because gaming has gotten so big to the point where it includes all kinds of different tastes and all kinds of different people. You got some people that play any and everything under the sun. You got some people that only play one game and that's all they care about. But the reality of it is, when you have a brand like the Xbox, or you have a brand like Steam or Steam Deck, the fans will tell you constantly what they want, what they love, what they don't like, what they would rather not see. And it seems like when you look at what Valve has done, all they did was just listen to the fans. They just listened to the fans. Now, mind you, we didn't get everything we wanted in the Steam Machine. For me personally, everything looks great. I just wish it had more VRAM. That's my biggest thing. I would really wish it had at least 16 gigabytes of VRAM. If they had that, I would be more at ease. But can I live with 8 gigs of VRAM? Yes, I can. I'll make it work. I mean, look, I've been playing Steam Deck, Switch, and Switch 2 for the last few years. I can make that work. I gamed on Surface computers, which are definitely not built for gaming. I made it work. And I have quite a few of those same Surface computers, and I've gamed on them for years until I fully gave up on Windows for Linux earlier this year. So I'm excited. The Steam controller was a dream come true. I was a big fan of the original Steam controller. Did it have its flaws? Yes, it did. But where it mattered most, it brought a new dimension to what gaming on the PC could be with a controller. And there's no other controller on the market you can say that about. It really was a great proof of concept which I think Valve mastered on the Steam Deck. And then they just brought it full circle by taking what they learned from the Steam Deck and just applied it to a Steam controller too. That's exactly what I wanted. I just said in one of my previous videos that if Valve releases a Steam controller 2, I'm going to retire every other computer, or every other controller that I use on PC. Right down the line, they're all done. They're done. When I play on PC, 9 times out of 10, I'm playing on Steam. I'm using the Steam controller. Case closed. So, man, this is something. It was a lot to absorb. And I watched so many videos. IGN, Digital Foundry. I mean, so many videos of people who either played, seen, witnessed, or just gave their impressions about this announcement. And overall, I'm really happy that they did. I think the gaming industry needs a new player that's actually serious. I don't think Microsoft is serious anymore. I think Sony beat them too badly. I think Nintendo beat them too badly. And you know what? Let me address that for a split second, because there's a sentiment that when you talk about console gaming, that Nintendo is not in that conversation. And that's not right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. That's nonsense, because it's a very simple principle. Nintendo makes a gaming device to play games on it. The same as Sony, the same as Microsoft, and now the same as Valve. Yes, they are competitors. This idea that Nintendo never competed with PlayStation or Xbox is just stupid. And it was really kind of disheartening to hear CEOs say this nonsense. Phil Spencer was saying that. Phil Spencer said it multiple times. Oh, Nintendo's just kind of doing their own thing. They're not a competitor. Well, go tell the shareholders that. You can't even move 40 million Xboxes at retail, but Nintendo moved over 150 million. Don't tell me that they're not a competitor when you want their numbers. Everybody's cheering for PlayStation 5 because they move so many units, and that is great. I'm actually happy for Sony. I'm not so happy with their executives, but I love their engineers. I've always loved Sony engineers. So I'm very happy for that success, and it is deserved. But don't sit and preach like the stage only has Sony on it now, selling all these PlayStation 5s, when Nintendo just broke sales records selling the Switch 2, and they made history selling the original Switch. They are competitors. If a person has to choose which device to buy to play their games on, and they choose a Switch or a Switch 2 over a PlayStation 5, don't tell me they're not competing. And it's going to be the exact same thing with the Steam machine. People say, oh, one's a console, one's a PC. You're buying it to play games. Anything else you do beyond that is gravy. They are competitors. And Valve is a very dangerous competitor. The only thing they could have did better, or the only thing they could have done, let's put it that way. The only thing they could have done that would have made that announcement blow up even bigger, if they announced that Half-Life 3 was going to launch with the computer. Imagine that. They finally announced Half-Life 3 and it comes pre-installed on the Steam machine. People would have lost their minds. I don't understand what Microsoft's problem is. It's like, really, sometimes you just got to shut up. Yeah, okay, you big bad Microsoft, you got all these billions in the bank. Okay, great. But your brand, you destroyed your brand. Your brand is failing. Sometimes you need to just shut up and listen. Listen to what your fans are telling you. Listen to what the fans want and give it to them. They didn't do that. Microsoft didn't do that. And where Microsoft failed, Valve picked up the ball and they're going to run with it. And they are going to run with it. Look, if they price this Steam machine right, I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to buy two. And that's a fact. I'm going to do that. I will spend the money. Personally, I probably will never buy an Xbox console ever again. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, I gave up on Windows earlier this year. I mean, I've been using Linux fairly consistently for the last 4.5 years. But I always, like I mentioned, I have Surface computers. So, I mean, I actually have quite a few Surface computers. I got like 6 of them. And I would still use Surface for work, for certain games. And in the heyday of it, it was actually really good. Surface computers are generally built really good. I mean, sometimes you get your lemons, but when you get a really good Surface computer, they're exceptionally built. Their engineers really did a great job. The Microsoft engineers, they did a great job. The problem is Windows. Windows, man. Windows sucks, man. I cannot express how disappointed I am that Microsoft went in this direction with Windows. And that was the motivation for me to give up on the whole Surface line, to give up on Windows. With the exception that I do have 2 Surface computers that I put Linux on. Old Surface Pro 3 and the Surface Book 2. Just as an experiment, I'm sorry, it's 3, because actually my last test was I put Linux Mint on the Surface Studio 2 Plus. And it almost worked. There was a technical problem with the graphics card. I couldn't get the graphics card to function. I always had to use the integrated graphics, which the performance wasn't that great. But for the Surface Pro 3 and the Surface Book 2, Linux transforms those machines. It gives them new life. They function faster than they ever did on Windows. They're a bit more stable. Updating is easy. They are a joy to use, and you can really see the care that the engineers put into the hardware when you use like a Linux computer, like a Linux laptop, which I have a couple of those, and then you go back and use a Surface. The Linux laptops are not bad. They're actually pretty good. But as far as the build quality goes, the Surfaces are a step above. When it comes to gaming, Microsoft did nothing with that. And yes, Surface computers can run some games. I mean, even the best Surface computers can game a little bit. They're just not built for that. But Microsoft did nothing with that. Even with the Surface Studio has hands down one of the best monitors I've ever seen. I don't care about the computer because the computer kind of sucks. But the monitor was phenomenal, and they never sold the monitor separate. I would have bought like 3 of those Surface Studio monitors if they actually sold them separately. They didn't do it. With the Xbox, there's many IP that Microsoft just didn't use. They didn't go back to. Fans were watching the competitors release games in those genres that were, selling. Fans were cheering for them. And then you look over at the Xbox camp and it's like, wait, why can't we get another Perfect Dark? Why can't we? You just negotiated with Nintendo to put Banjo and Kazooie in Super Smash Brothers. Why can't we get another Banjo and Kazooie? Developers are still making games like that. Why can we not get a new entry in that series? Why did it take you so long to come to the realization that maybe you should make another Fable? Maybe. The fact that Phil Spencer did an interview where he was like, wow, we didn't realize, that fans wanted these IP. What did you buy them for if you never had any intention of using them? Microsoft is sitting on a treasure trove of great IP and did nothing with it. They went on and on and on about how they can't beat Sony, and they didn't even really try. What they did was they tried to be a better Sony. They tried to be Sony instead of just being Microsoft and sticking to the whole point. The whole point is, bro, you want your brand to flourish. You want your games and your hardware to sell. Well, guess what? Just make great games. Make great hardware for those games to run. The rest pretty much takes care of itself. I mean, how do you explain what Nintendo did with the Switch? And the thing is, the original Switch wasn't even great hardware. It's just that they did great things with it. But it was, if you look at the spec and how old that Tegra chip is, it's not great hardware. It's just that they did great things with it. Xbox Series X and S are actually great hardware. The Microsoft engineers did a fantastic job when they built those. Even to this day, my dad has a Series X. I look at that Series X and I just shake my head. I'm like, they hands down built one of the best consoles that we have ever seen in the history of gaming and did nothing with it. It doesn't matter how good your hardware is if you've got no games to play, you've got no killer apps, you've got no exclusives. So, with that being said, I just wanted to chime in. That's a big announcement yesterday. Even as I'm recording this, I'm still processing everything that I just saw. I'm going to have to go on YouTube later and look at it again because it's almost like a dream come true. Everything that I wanted from Valve, they just showed. And then the icing on the cake is when one of the engineers said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we pretty much know what the Steam Deck 2 is going to be, but now's not the time to talk about Steam Deck 2. We're not going to go there just yet. But we pretty much have an idea of what the Steam Deck 2 is going to be." I'm like, wow. Like, can you make me love you even more? Like, can you do that? It's like, wow. So you gave me even more stuff to look forward to. This is what Microsoft didn't do. Now, Sony takes care of their fans. You can go out and talk to any number of PlayStation 5 users right now. You can talk to people who still playing PlayStation 4. They generally take care of their fans. They give their fans what they want. They give them great hardware. They give them great games, and their services are pretty good too. PlayStation 5 and 4 are kind of ugly. I don't particularly like the design, but they are very capable for what they were built for. And the fans eat it up because, hey, look at what they produce. Look at what they've done. Nintendo's fans are legendary. Because even at the worst of times, they will support Nintendo. Because if everybody turns their back on Nintendo, they know I'm going to get a good Mario Kart. I'm going to get Pokemon. I'm going to get Luigi's Mansion, Smash Brothers. Or I might get a new IP that comes out of left field like Splatoon that turns out to be really great. They know that if all else fails, they got Nintendo. Nintendo's going to get their back. They're going to give them something great. People will buy Nintendo hardware just to play the next Legend of Zelda. They may not get nothing else, but they will buy a Nintendo system just for Zelda. And that kind of brand loyalty is what Microsoft flushed. That type of brand loyalty when it comes to PC gaming is what Valve has, which is why this is so phenomenal. This announcement is so phenomenal. Microsoft really screwed this up, man. They really screwed this up. And I know I'm focusing a lot on Microsoft, but it's because they're the odd man out right now. I mean, Nintendo is breaking sales records with Switch 2. I mean, people can be online poo-pooing it. Yeah, I hate Nintendo. Well, whatever. They are breaking sales records with Switch 2 right now. Switch 2 hardware is moving. Their software sales are still, well, at least Nintendo software sales are still good. In this early days, I mean, development really hasn't gotten fully up and running yet. There's a lot of anticipated games that haven't even come out on it yet. Sony is going to be Sony. I mean, PlayStation 6 is going to be awesome. The portable, to be honest, I'm not thrilled with because I still got a bitter taste in my mouth because they abandoned the Vita. If Sony would have stuck with the PlayStation Vita, I don't think Switch would have been as successful as it was. They literally gave up and let Nintendo run the table. And now they see how successful Switch is, and they're seeing how Switch 2 is selling. They're seeing how well Steam Deck is doing, and they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have abandoned our portable. No shit. So here we are. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to end this, and It's going to be interesting days coming. Interesting days. I guess we're going to see how it all shakes out. But provided that price is good, I'm going to buy 2 of those Steam machines. Take care.